Chapter 416. Yudhir had clearly memorized the carriage they had ridden in and dismounted from. After the coachman disappeared with a strained expression, Yudhir stepped forward and slowly exhaled. According to information from Pruel, the place where the noble carriage that carried the dignitaries had arrived was one of the few areas not equipped with an intrusion attack magic circle. Thanks to the carriages that were treated more preciously than humans, Yudhir was given the opportunity to avoid others' eyes and exert his power with ease. Slowly raising his right hand, energy began to boil up from within his body. The energy, stronger than usual due to its master's emotions, gradually condensed and raised a light wind beneath his feet. His left eye, covered by a hood, turned into a bright golden color. Yudhir began to execute his biggest goal for coming here, after gathering enough strength. The first is the signal. The power that burst out from under his feet shook the earth slightly, and the ground around the main building quivered like a minor earthquake. Those who weren't sensitive might not think it strange, but for the scattered cavalry members around, it was a significant signal. Yudhir coldly stayed at the yet silent main building, waiting for the subtle vibrations to completely subside. Then he leaped onto a tall tree and summoned a much more powerful force. The second is a blockade. As the earth's energy sent out to aid in the blockade spread wider and larger than before, trees in the garden crumbled noiselessly at Yudhir's command and soil sprang up. Yudhir's expression remained icy as walls collapsed, closing all escape routes for those inside. His face was unchanged, as if he wasn't wielding nature at his will. Then he spotted a few cavalry members fumbling in the distance. At Yudhir's touch, the rising earth changed direction, avoiding the members who had nearly been hit. Surprised by the sudden event, the members looked around and waved their arms in thanks, apparently intended for Yudhir. Most of them were indeed excited to witness something akin to the miracle of the Great Serene Forest that they had only heard rumors. But Yudhir, far away, couldn't see their excitement. Inside the main building, where all windows were covered, blocking outside light, and guests were oblivious, and wondrous and immense trap was completed in no time by one man's doing. Yudhir quietly looked down at the spectacle he had created. Sweat beaded on his forehead from exerting such great power, but it wasn't painful. Rather, it was refreshing. Even with all exits blocked, it wouldn't stop someone like Hosanna, who possessed teleportation. Still, ordinary people couldn't escape without sprouting wings. Yudhir simply assessed the result he had created and immediately began to exert the third power. The third is destruction. In fact, this was the primary reason he had come here. The most immense power yet began to stretch out from inside Yudhir's body through his fingertips, making his hair flutter. Nature began to respond to his silent call. Its range precisely matched the size of the wall that tightly surrounded the auction house. At that moment, everything in nature within sight was in Yudhir's hands. Sensing each one vividly, Yudhir once again realized the overwhelming power of his ability. When he had been unable to use his power, he had thought that it was really fine even without it. Being without power did not make Yudhir any less Yudhir after all. But now, as Kishirla Or had commented, the one who could shake that splendid and corrupt auction house outwitted those Star of Nagran who had snuck in to ruin the auction house and let them know that there was no escape for those who should have faced judgment was none other than himself. At this fact, Yudhir felt a fiercer satisfaction than ever before. Regaining his power was truly fortunate. Yudhir extended his hand slowly towards the auction house and aimed. His left eye, shining with golden light, looked down chillingly at the places soon to lose their former appearance, before it was soon hidden behind his lowering eyelid. The conversation he had last shared with Pruel before he went back to the capital came to Yudhir's mind. During the final operation, is it okay to break some buildings or terrain as long as it does not harm the citizens of Jainu? Eh? Why are you asking me that? First of all, since Prince Pruel is the representative of the family that owns this land and is with us, I'm inquiring. What did the Duke of Paleta say? Do as you wish. Pruel seemed momentarily taken aback, but soon burst into loud laughter. All right, then my answer is the same. It's such a shame I won't be able to see that refreshing sight firsthand. Kishir and Pruel both approved, and they had informed those participating in today's mission in advance about what they were going to do, so there was no more hesitation. Yudhir opened his eyes again. The powers that had escaped from within him rushed out without restraint at his will. He felt dizzy as all the trapped energy was suddenly pulled out and his body trembled. But there was no trembling in the fingertips aimed at the auction house. A smile like a wind beast preparing for a feast appeared over his expressionless face. And then all the windows in the auction house exploded at once. What's happening? Everyone inside the warehouse, from the foreigners hastily moving bags of white powder to the distinguished guests whispering the names of items they could not legally acquire, to the senior officials anxiously waiting for an absent owner, to the shady characters hidden among them waiting for their time to act, all stopped as one. But they were not given the chance to comprehend what had caused this situation. Almost immediately, the ground surrounding the auction house began to shake mercilessly, and the sensation of something collapsing began. The auction house was plunged into chaos. Screams of instinctive terror filled the air, shattering any semblance of calm. The panicked crowd surged towards the exit, pushing and trampling each other. People were knocked down and stepped on, but no one stopped to help them. Expensive wine glasses shattered and the top grade carpets were stained. Beautiful sculptures hanging from the ceiling fell and broke into pieces. But the view that greeted the distinguished guest, who had pushed others aside to escape, was not the outside world they had expected. Individuals dressed in black uniforms, faces hidden in ominous cloaks, surrounded them and shouted in thunderous voices. We are the cavalry. From now on, we will seize everyone here in the name of the Emperor and Duke Paleta. The chaos that unfolded was abhorrent. Some were raging, realizing who they were, others were assessing the situation and fleeing, while others swung their weapons about. But no excuses or attacks could penetrate the defense of those dressed in black. They demonstrated an unprecedented power, quickly capturing the dignitaries and pulling them up like sacks of grain. Those who had nothing to show except their noble titles or wealth were captured without being able to resist properly. In that hellish landscape, only an endless earthquake continued, shaking everything like divine punishment. Will Urshi be all right, my lord? Hosanna murmured with a heavy face, concealing his face with his hand. Even though she stubbornly refused to come, should we have bought her? If she were to die there, she might be caught by the cavalry members, but she will not die. You know as well, Hosanna, what they did with Gale and Doyle. Hosanna was silent for a moment. He knew that Nahan's words were correct, but his heart, filled with guilt, did not easily subside. He felt this way even knowing it was contradictory. Archie simply couldn't endure any longer. Slitting the Baron's throat became more important to her than anything else. If we cannot understand her feelings, then who will? Dot dot dot. Rather than that, we should focus on what we need to do now. Archie must be enjoying her sweet revenge by now, so we must do what we must. Yes, Hosanna replied curtly and sighed. They were moving slowly in the deserted garden located between Baron Wilhelm's main and auxiliary residences, heading towards the back gate they had noted when they had infiltrated before.